Hello, welcome back to the Boxing Nerds podcast with me, Ollie.
And me, Lewis. And today we're joined by former two-time WKO World Kickboxing Champion, Gary Briggs. Gary, welcome.
Thanks for coming down, Gazza.
That's
How
right.
are you?
I'm good, yeah.
You look a bit tanned. You look like
Yeah,
you're
just come back from Bali for 3 weeks, so like it's a bit of a shock coming back now. There's this weather. But I am going back in about end of January.
I mean,
It's good. Hard life then.
Yeah, well, I got started a business over there, so I'm sort of in the process of doing a restaurant with a friend who live over there. So that is it's a chance for me to sort of get involved with the gym as well.
Excellent.
So
and you'll be out. I mean, I didn't know a lot about abroad. If I'm honest, I've been to Norfolk. I have been to Yarmouth once.
yeah, it's quite easy to get there.
So, Gary, you're obviously kickboxing world champion. How did you get into kickboxing? Why kickboxing?
Just pure luck, really. I mean, I remember like me and my brother. I was 25 years old. I started late.
So, yeah, so that's quite late.
Yeah, I was always into boxing, watching it and doing stuff like more like from 21 to 25. I did weight training. And I was into that, bodybuilding and things like that. So I could never see myself not doing it. But I'd always been interested in boxing. Then me and my brother saw like an advert saying full contact karate, and I thought, well, I'll never go with that, even though I didn't know what it was at the time. So we went like, and that was Richard Vince. You know, obviously he's sort of well known for what he does with taekwondo around here, and he's the one who started the classes on. That was at the Telegraph Lane East, which was the Chrome Centre, and so we started out there, and he done classes for like 16 weeks. And then completely sort of everyone was dropping out, and it got down to the last sort of 6 or 7, and we were there, and then they did it again. And so I signed it again, and my brother then, because everyone was doing a bit of sparring, they wouldn't know like rings or anything, just sort of floor mats and stuff. And he got fed up because he got kicked low a few times. Oh, yeah. And he went, oh, this isn't for me. So he stopped doing it, and then obviously I carried on, and basically I had the chance to do a fight at the Talk of the East, and I thought, why not? I'll do it. And then they put me in with this guy from Nottingham. He'd had about 5 or 6 fights. I didn't know this at the time. You just
that's not to.
Yeah. And me being me, obviously, I went into it, and then I think the referee stopped it in the second round because I was taking too much punishment. And right. But it didn't put me off. So I just thought to myself, I'm quite determined to do stuff, you know, like the right way. And I just thought, well, this is, if I'm going to carry on with this, I need to lose a bit of weight, because I was a bit, I wasn't fat, I was just like well built for my size. I'm not very tall, I'm sort of 5'7", so I was quite stocky. I was about 12 stone maybe, just under. And so I started, I'd stopped doing the weights, and then I got more into the training side of it. And then I had my second fight in Peterborough, and basically, again, when the first round started, I thought that guy quite tall, and I was sort of taking a bit of a hammer in the first round, and then basically I just turned it round and knocked the guy out in the second round. And I just remembered like that feeling of like knocking someone out, and I just felt like great, you know. I mean, this is, but I still knew that I needed to be fitter. Yeah. And so just went from there really, and then as I went on, I never took it serious. I enjoyed doing it, and I just got fit and got fitter, lost some weight, and I got myself down to like 11 stone, and that was my perfect weight, because it's basically that was what I used to fight at. And then, you know, as amateurs, I had a couple of fights, win them, lost one, win one, lost one, yeah, that sort of thing, and carried on. And that's how it started really. And then basically from, I think I was 28 then, 30. I was 30 years old, and I got a chance to fight for a British title. And well, to cut a long story short, I actually went to Lincoln to fight this guy who had the British title, and his opponent pulled out. So they asked, obviously my trainer asked me, they asked what I'd step in, go to the same weight. And we said, well, yeah, we'll do it if you put your title on the line, but they weren't allowed to do it. So I said, look, they come up with a sort of thing to say, like, if you fight this guy and you beat him, then you can fight for the title at Norwich Sports Village. So I thought, yeah, well, I'm going to do it. I'm here anyway. So the guy had unbeaten. He had about 11 or 13, and it won most of them, bar one, I think. and I ended up beating him. And then because we had the rematch at Norwich Sports Village for the British title, because obviously he still had it. I wouldn't for the title, the non-title fight.
It's an amateur title as well?
That was an amateur title. That was 5 rounds.
Right.
So basically, with the 3-round fights, never really suited me because it always took me a round to warm up. And then told me, if you know what it's like being a fighter yourself.
If you go and you're finished, sort of thing.
You have to start quick at the 3 rounds. So the longer rounds suited me because I was fit. And so obviously I fought him again at Norwich Sports Village. I broke his jaw, and I got this picture of me doing a spinning back kick in mid-air. Obviously I didn't catch him, but look, the guy actually caught it while I was doing it. I got it in my gym, hanging up. I got it on my back, tattooed on my back.
That's pretty cool.
I always said I was going to have it done as a tattoo, and I did it. I had it last year. And I'm still friends with him. We were like friends on Facebook, and he said, "You're the only person who's ever beaten me," and that's twice. So I just said, "Well, you are actually in my gym on the wall." I was with a swollen jaw, and I said, "Now you're on my skin." He went, "Well," he said, he said, "That's great." He said,
with me forever.
"I said you'll always be with me." So basically that's how it started, really. Like winning the British title after like 3-4 years of doing it, and getting picked up like after work. 5:30 to go somewhere like Barnsley to fight, and that was it, England versus Holland. I always remember it, and I was one of the representatives for the England team, and I was last on the bill in Barnsley. I sit in the dressing room, 1:45 in the morning, and I'm sitting there questioning myself, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I'm getting paid like £200 or whatever, but that ain't the money, is it? I just think, what am I doing? And I'm actually fighting an ex-European champion here, and I thought, you question yourself.
You're not in bed at that time, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
You think it's nearly midnight,
yeah.
And
And you got to go to work next morning.
Yeah.
So I ended up fighting him and lost the fight, but I took so much confidence from it because the guy was good, and I could, and basically I could actually knew I was at that level.
Yeah.
And that was just basically getting your opportunities, because I never took it up to thinking I was any good at it, and I just got better at it as I got on. And basically, when I take on stuff and I take it on seriously, and I try and do the best I can at whatever it is, and that's all you can do. And then obviously I went from there. But I come away from that fight thinking, well, this guy's good. I've seen him on Eurosport, and I've actually competed with him and done a good job with him, and lost on points. But that was a 5-round fight. So yeah, that's how that went, and then things just moved on from there, really. And I remember like fighting for the English title in Colchester against a guy called Nick Clarke, who was pretty good, and he was from Brighton, and that was more his sort of like hometown, really. Yeah. And I always remember the days when you're fighting like in that Colchester hall where everyone's smoking in there, and you think, well, you won't get that now.
You're trying to breathe that in.
It's breathing that while you're fighting, and we had like a 7-round. That was 7 rounds. We had a sort of 7-round war, really, and that was quite close, but he'd won the fight. Then we had the rematch, similar to the one when I beat that guy for the British title, about 3 months later. And that was at Norwich Lads Club, the old Lads Club. Yeah. And I beat him over the 7 rounds, took the English title, the ISKA, which is quite a good title, because it's like, say, like the WBC of the boxing world. That was, the ISKA is more recognised in kickboxing, and all the titles.
And that's
more big
professional, not amateur?
That was professional, because from the 5 rounds to 7 rounds, and then that was then turned pro. So obviously, I think, going by, I've had altogether total like 55 fights, and then basically I lost about 8. But I think 6 of them were as amateurs. I only lost 2 as a pro.
Okay,
and I had about 23, I think, as a pro.
Very impressive. Yeah.
But I just got better as time went on, and then because basically people always used to go on about my age. I remember like fighting for the world title against the guy from Poland. I remember the presser was like sort of interviewing me, and we had like BBC TV coming up, and they were doing interviews, and they always brought up my age. And I said, well, look, that's a number. What you got to remember, I started at 25 years old. If I started at 15 or was boxing as a teenager, then maybe by the age of 35, I'm going to be like worn out. But I was as fit as I ever been.
What age were you when you turned pro? Like, what was the process in terms? Is it easy to turn pro in kickboxing compared to boxing?
It's not the same as boxing, really, because you just got you haven't got all the red tape like with pro boxing, you then got to go for a pro license, and then you got to have all the brain scans and all that. Obviously, with kickboxing, that was a bit different. I mean, that was a shame, really, because in other countries, like in European, especially Holland and places like that, you become more well known over there than you do here. And I remember my brother working in Germany, and he'd worked there for about 3 years. And they were like in this bar somewhere, and then he heard my name get mentioned because they were at the martial art magazine. This guy was, and I was in the. I remember I still got that cut, and they'd done a profile on me. They called me like Gary Iron Man Briggs, and that's where that sort of come down because I was tough. And
them come up with that nickname for you.
Yeah, and
Iron Gary.
Oh yeah, and so my brother said, "I can't even get away from you now." They were talking about you in Germany, so yeah, that was. I was probably more well known in European companies than I was in England, but that's obviously Holland, France, or places like that. It's pretty popular with kickboxing. They get the backing of the government, and that's on TV more.
Yeah. Did you fight there more than England?
I fought away a few times, yeah, but like going back to to when I won the world title is. I'd actually went for a European title in Poland. I got offered that, and so obviously the press covered me leaving the train station with my 2 little kids and my first wife, and they were like, they'd give me all the coverage going away to do it. And I thought I didn't know what I was going to be facing because I've never been to Poland in my life, and I just think, well, what is it going to be like? So we go there. I had one corner man with me. And then we had an Irish judge I knew him quite well, and obviously he was wasn't judging my fight, but he was judging some of the fights. So basically, that was we got put up in this hotel, and we were having something to eat there, and I heard all these guys sort of talking, and heard my name mentioned a few times, and I sort of looked, and he went, "Oh yes, you fight our man, you know, he's very tough." You know, I went, "All right, okay." So. But that was really a nice hotel. We got looked after really well. Then all the lads went out on the lash. Go to the nightclub next door. I obviously being a good boy, I went to bed because I knew I was sleeping the next day. Yeah. But there was an American team there. They were fighting for the world title against a guy who I was eventually going to fight for the world title 2 years later.
Right.
Well, basically, I fought for the European title. What it was there was 6 fights on there. That was like... a fashion show. They had all these models doing all this sort of stuff in the ring, right. And they had the fights going on in between. You know, like that was right. And then that was live on their TV. So I was trying to get people. Well, if you can find it, because that was back in the day when the Sky was not around then. Yeah. So I was just thought you wouldn't have got it if it like now. You would have probably gone on one of the channels and found it, which is a shame. Really, because I never got to see the fight because that was probably the biggest fight I was going to have. And so basically, these American people were like, they were like making, you know, they were saying they met this guy called, I can't remember his name, Steve, I remember his first name, black guy, he's about the same height as me and everything. They were saying he was the bee's knees, he was going to do this, going to do that, and I thought, all right, okay, you know, like Americans are like brash, they're best at everything. So I wanted to see his fight. I was on before him, so they had like 2 Czechoslovakians against 2 other Polish guys, and then they had my fight as a European title, which was the one before the world title fight. So when I got to my fight, the guy was quite tall, and the fight was even. I was probably 5 rounds in, and I was like going to the body quite a bit with like punches, and I could hear his corner. It's funny now when I look back on it, because you think his corner must have been telling them to throw a roundhouse when I went down to his body to the solar plex. And basically that's what happened. I threw a shot to his body, and he threw a roundhouse at me. It caught me around the back of the head. So I went down. I got straight back up again, and my legs were just like disco dancing. And the referee stopped it, and I went, I'm all right. Because obviously, and my trainer got in. He went, look, he said, you're not. And then I had this massive lump come up the back of my head. It was just as well, maybe. And I got out of the ring. I'd never been like swamped with like interviews and stuff like that. I was just that was just like another world. You know, how they took it and like they wanted to interview me and say how well I did and unlucky and all this. And I just thought, and I need to go and see this guy fight. This American guy who was fighting for the world title. So anyway, I quickly got changed, and that was in the second round as I was coming out, and this guy, he was all over this American guy. He just swarmed him. He just didn't let him do anything because he was quite a big lad. But he got cut in the second or third round, and I remember they kept stopping the fight and treating him in the corner. I thought, well, this can't be right. I know he was all over. He was all over the guy, and the guy wasn't doing nothing. And because the guy kept spitting his gum shield out, and his trainer kept kicking the gum shield away, so obviously he got more time to recover. And then he ended up stopping him anyway. So that was that. And so I remember my friend said to me, he said, this guy, he said, you'd have been more suited to fight him than the one you fought, because he was tall, rangy. This guy was aggressive, come forward, and he said you'd have stood a better chance against him. So anyway, I went back to Norwich, and then I sort of said to the press what happened. I said, I'll call it a day. I've done everything I can do. I've won a British title. I've gone for a European title. I'm happy with what I've done. I'm 34 years old at the time. I just felt like I'd done enough. I've been fighting for 9 years. And so I kept involved with the gym. And I remember the WKO at the time, a guy called Phil May, who was like the president at the time, he got in touch with me and he said, look, he said, there is a chance. He said, you're still in the top 10 of the ratings. If we put you in against this French guy, and you win, you'll have a chance to fight for the world title against this guy. And he still had the belt. Caesarea producer, which I'm friends with him on Facebook. Don't actually talk to him, but just like he always sent me birthday messages and stuff like that. So I ended up I thought, right, why not? So I basically trained for it. I got myself in brilliant shape, and because obviously the guy I used to work with, Neil Featherby, obviously he's well known for what he for running. He used to run for Great Britain. He had the best marathon time around here for years, and he's run for Britain quite a few times. He looked after all my fitness stuff. And he used to take me on these runs, and I felt I was going to be sick. And he's just talking to me while we're doing session work, so we're sprinting or stepping up the pace. And I go, come on, just imagine that I'm like a string, don't let me get away. And he got me in seriously fit, because my wrestling heartbeat was 32 beats a minute, so I was really fit. So my biggest thing of all was my fitness. And basically all through my career is, I would, especially went to the 12 rounds. I done one 12-round fight, but I used to wear the opponents down, because basically I'd just be in at the face all the time, and they'd give up. 6 to 8 rounds, that'd be that I'd get it over with. But there's once I did go 12 rounds against the Australian, but I'll come to that in a minute. But so basically I fought this French guy, and he'd had a good record. He'd only lost 3 out of about 46 or something like that. And I remember having the press conference with him, and I went to go and shake his hand. He pushed my hand away. I thought, well, that's the worst thing you can do to me. It just wound me right up. And I just wanted to be friendly. He just pushed it away. So I thought, all right, fair enough. If you want it, well, you're going to get it. Yeah. So basically, I had quite a big crowd that was in King's Lynn. In fact, but we put the show on. I don't know why it was, because obviously I was involved with someone. I used to go do a lot of training, going away. I used to get sparring in Chelmsford, and then I'd go to Chingford, get some sparring, because I couldn't get the proper sparring around here for kickboxing. Right. So I had to travel to do it.
Yeah, you limit, I guess,
and then
people.
I went to King's Lynn, and there was a decent club there, and got involved with one of the trainers there. He had some good lads there. So basically, he put a show on there, and then headlined that show as for me to fight for this French guy. I ended up stopping him in 3 rounds. I remember from the back fist and putting him. I remember John Faxon used to come watch, because me and him used to train together when he was younger. Because I think it's about 8 years between me and him, maybe a bit more. And obviously, I remember him as a kickboxing, because he won a European title at Sports Village. I won the British title.
Well, kickboxing, did he?
In kickboxing, and that was his last at 17 years old. He then went into amateur boxing. Right. And I always said to my mate at the time, I said, I wouldn't mind having a bet he'll win a British title at some point. And I never did put the bet on. I wish I did.
Should have done.
And at third time, lucky he done it. But and then he won a European title as well. Yeah. So So basically, he come in that fight, and I remember like when I threw that spinning back fist. When I watched the video, I remember he was jumping up in the air. He had this like yellow shirt on. Yeah, he gone mad and that, and then because the guy did get up, and then I just stopped him around later. But so I then had a chance to fight for the world title, and the thing of it was getting it here because we had to pull all the stops to do it, like get sponsorship, because that wasn't like. Obviously, the organisation was going to pay for it. We had to. I had to get the Polish team over here. We had to sort it all out. I was putting the shows on as myself. I was promoting the shows at the Sports Village, but I was letting my friend sort my main fight out. I didn't want to be involved with that. Yeah. I sorted all the local guys' fights out, so I know what it's like to be a promoter and getting let down on the last week, trying to get guys in because they sold loads of tickets. You'd always get it, and that's still happening.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah. So I know what it is like, and that's why I do feel sorry for promoters. And when they sometimes they are struggling for the tickets because if you ain't got bums on seat, you're going to be the one who pay for it. Yeah. So you need your local fighters to sell tickets to sell that because you've not got TV money.
Were you still doing your day job?
Yeah, I was still doing my day job.
You're training yourself and basically working as a promoter as well.
I was running in the mornings because sometimes I had to get up early because we had to do some early stuff. So I was running at 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Then basically before I went into being an engineer as an air conditioning refrigeration engineer, I used to work at a branch in selling the parts. So basically, I used to like run dinner times. I had a bag up. I used to serve people in the direct, and because that's my dinner break, they'd like ring on the doorbell. I'd, oh, sorry, we don't want to interrupt you. I was punching and kicking the bag, and then I'd be in the gym at night time. So that was basically.
Did you get many complaints when you were at work? If people see you punching out, they're like, oh, maybe I'll not complain today. Yeah. How sort of far away in your career before you got to fight for the world title? Were you like a few years or?
Yeah, well, I started at 25, so I fought for the world title at 35 years old, so it's 10 years.
So you've been fighting for 10 years, boxing and kickboxing in them times? Or,
I remember signing up for the Norwich Lads Club to fight for them, and I think I had about two bouts. But the problem is, was going there, and because I don't know how it's done these days, but remember, everyone used to be in like the main place down the bottom of the lads club, and you'd end up saying, right, he's fighting him, and then because they knew I'd had a few kickboxing fights, and that's before I'd done anything, I never got the bouts hardly because people didn't want to take me on because I'll fight a 20 bouter then. No, that's not how it works. You got to fight up under 10 bouter. I never got the bouts, so basically I didn't. That's why my boxing never went really anywhere. So I stuck with the kickboxing because that was holding me back if I wanted to. But because I got a good level at kickboxing, I stayed at it. Yeah. Now if it would have been the other way around, I probably would have got rid of the kickboxing and gone more in the boxing side of it. Because then, basically, when we got to that point when I got the guy over here to fight for the world title, we'd pulled all the stops. I got Sports Village to sponsor it. Didn't pay for the venue. The Eastern Evening News were sponsoring me, so that was enough to put it out there to get the local. And we used to have TV involved, like the BBC TV would do a bit on it. I remember sitting in the day before we were in the hotel at the Sports Village, and I thought, that's got to be on in a minute, because they'd interviewed me. And then all of a sudden, they put something on about a horse. Some horse had to be put down. I went, so that's got better coverage than what we did. And then I said, oh, by the way, there's a World Championship tomorrow night at the Norwich Sports Village, and that was about 10 seconds.
All that effort.
And then someone's horse got more coverage than what I got. So basically, that was, I remember I put a lot of money into that. Going back in 1997, it cost me 10 grand to put that show on, which don't sound a lot now, but it is. Then that was probably worth 20, 30, what it is now. Yeah, so it was my money on the line. So basically, if I didn't make the money, if I didn't put the bums on seat, I wouldn't have made any money. But I wasn't really interested in making the money. As long as I broke even, I didn't care. I wanted to just win that world title. Yeah. So basically, when he came over, I sort of sized him, because I remember him how he was when against his American guy, he just rushed him. And I just thought, he's quite big, you know what I mean? So anyway, he weighed in the day before the fight, and he weighed in a 0.5 kilo over the weight limit, because the weight limit was 70 kilo. Well, I come in at 68.8, so I was under it.
Quite under it, yeah.
And he come in at 70.5. So basically, I thought, well, he's going to have to get it off.
Yeah.
So then, some reason, the president of the WKO said, no, that's okay. I thought, why is it okay? And I thought, well, surely it can't be okay. Yeah. Anyway, I thought, I'm not arguing about it. We got him here. So I was thinking, so on the night of the fight, he was obviously about 73 kilo, because obviously he knew how to dry out properly. And when I got in the ring with him, when we faced up in the ring, and I looked at him, I thought, Christ, the size of him. You know what I mean? He was about 3 weights up from me.
It's quite different. When you look at Eubank Jr., he got fined about £500,000 against Conor Benn.
And they knew it.
5 grams over.
Well, they knew what they were doing, because basically he struggled to make the weight. He's a big guy. He's probably like a middleweight, I would say. I was like super welterweight, and he was strong. And I just thought, well, it is what it is. I got in the middle of the ring, and I just thought, right, this is my chance. And then obviously when we'd filled the sports village up, because I remember my friend at the time who was helping me do it, he went, you never guess what? He said, you got to see the crowd outside queuing up. I thought, you know, in my head I thought, great, but I just thought, I'm focused on this. You know what I mean? As long as we don't lose money, even if I lost money, I wouldn't have cared, because obviously I won it in the end. But so basically I got in the ring with him, and the first round come on, he come at me like a steam train, and I knew he was going to do this, because I saw it happen in Poland. Yeah. And the crowd was just silent. That was just like, he couldn't hear a pin drop, because they were all thinking, Christ, what's going on here? And then towards the end of the first round, I started catching him, and then I pushed him back a bit, and then the volume of the crowd raised a bit, and went back to the corner. Obviously, he won that first round. Then the second round started. Same thing happened again, but that only went on for about 30 seconds, because he was like, definitely, he couldn't, the weight thing, but he was trying to get me out of there. Yeah. That was never going to go 12 rounds. So basically, towards the end of the second round, I started catching him, and the crowd would then start to lift, and I cut him over his eye where he'd been cut before, and then I put a combination together, and I put him down, and everyone went mental, and then because he got up, and I thought, I could see he was struggling, and he had 2 cuts. He had one there, one over there. Right. I thought, just take your time. Don't, you got this. Don't go crazy. So he was, and then basically he got hold of me in a judo throw, and he threw me on the floor.
I watched this earlier.
Did you see that?
I see earlier, yeah.
And
your head, didn't you, or something?
Yeah. Well, the first time I got up, and I thought, what the? And then he went to go and chuck some hand, and I just, I'm not touching your hand. And then basically what I did is I'd done a spinning back kick, and I caught him nearly in the throat, and everyone went mental. And then carried on, and he got warned. He punched me down, punched me low a few times. He tried to throw me again. You could see what he was trying to do. I thought, well, he's losing the plot here. And then he knew he was losing. So basically, cut a long story short, I caught him with a really good spinning back fist, and how he took some of my punches, I don't know, because he was tough. And I caught him flush with a spinning back fist, and he sort of went back like that. He didn't go down. And then he got hold of me again, and he threw me down again, and he dislocated my shoulder. This is in the 6th round. So I felt my shoulder go, and because then they said, no, keep down, because I wanted to get up, because my kids were in the audience. I didn't want them to think that no one knew what was going on. They thought, like, the fight, they called the fight over, he'd been disqualified. But I was trying to get up, and they said, no, keep down, because luckily enough, I had this guy from Kingston used to work with Formula 1 drivers. He was a physio. He pushed my shoulder back in. I remember him doing it. I remember it clicking back in. And they obviously got up, and then the MC got on the mic, and sort of everyone didn't know what had gone on, thought I'd lost. Yeah. And he said, look, if dudes are infringement of rules, the new world champion is Gary Briggs. And then, because then that all sunk in then. And then,
what does that feel like?
Oh, great. And then, but I was pissed off because of how it finished. Yeah. I wanted to win it my way. Yeah. Not the way how he was trying to get out of it. And even though I felt it should have been the best moment of my life, I was so pissed off with him, how he reacted, what he was trying to do. And I didn't talk to him at all after the fight, anything.
Because you want to stop him, you want to see him out.
Exactly, and that was going that way, and he wouldn't have lasted another round or two, because he was out on his feet, and he was just trying to get an easy way out of it. So basically, I remember my kids coming in the ring. My boy was 6 then, and I think my daughter was 8. I remember sort of picking him up, and then they said, and the new, and that's when it sunk in, and I raised my arms, and that's when I felt on top of the world.
Yeah.
And then because I dislocated my shoulder, remember? But I'd had me up. This is where I'm saying, if you could bottle up adrenaline and give it as pain relief.
You can't feel anything.
I had my arms up in the air, and I was walking around the ring, and everyone was sort of coming up, but as soon as I got out of the ring, I couldn't move my shoulder no more than that. And that was just as well that finished when it did, because if I'd have carried on, that would have been my fighting career over it, because I actually went on to defend it 4 times.
4 times?
Yeah, and won another title, because this is where I'm saying that, going back to what we said before about Nick Clarke, who beat me in the English title, and then I beat him in the rematch. He'd actually got a version of a world title, WKMA, which was a new one up, like new one out at the time. So my sort of Neil had the belt. He said, "Why don't you fight him?" We put the Battle of Britain, we called it, and then basically we had a poster with me like bigger than him, and he went. And when we had the press conference, he went, "Yeah, you got to respect Gary and all that. We had some battles and that." He said, "But I don't like me being the smaller man on the poster." To like just mess around.
They've probably got that in the gym.
There probably is that.
There's loads of them. You're on
quite
a few.
There's several of you on there. Yeah.
So basically, I fought him. He struggled. He was a real skillful fighter. I mean, I got a lot of admiration for him. And he'd fought on Eurosport and everything, and because we'd had a history before, that was 1-1. That obviously, how we were both coming towards our end of our career, I then thought to myself, like, I'm going to make this my last one. If I win it, I've got 2 world titles. I'm just going to give up. I'm going to stop. That was in my head, and basically I stopped him in 7 rounds, and he didn't come out for the 7th round. He just blown himself out. They pulled him out. And because I was all over him, but he was in the fight. Don't get me wrong, but he was quite good. But I know I got on the mic and just said to everyone, thanks for all your help and all the years and your support and everything, because we used to call it the Briggsy Barmy Army. They always had good support. Yeah. And I said that I'm going to leave it now and I'm going to retire. And because then when I went into the dressing room afterwards, he came up and sort of shook my hand and spoke to my family, and he said, "Look, that's my last fight and all." So we both actually finished.
At the same time?
Yeah.
And you decided, like, what made you decide to retire then? You thought you'd done it all then?
Yeah, I was 39 then. So basically I was 39, I thought, how long can I go on for? You know what I mean? And to be honest, I could have gone on probably another 2 fights, but I always thought to myself, if I go on 2, it's always going to be someone who's going to beat you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I might be in a situation where I'll have a fight and I'll lose, maybe I think I shouldn't have lost, and then I'll have the rematch and lose again. So I'll finish my career on 2 defeats or 1 defeat. So I thought, this is the best way to go out, like keeping my belts, not losing them.
When was that? What sort of time?
That was, what, the year?
Yeah.
That was 1999.
99?
Yeah.
How was it, like, sort of immediately after retiring? How was it? Did you feel like you were missing something?
That was a big relief in the end, because I even though I did enjoy it and I loved it, don't get me wrong, I miss it now, but I just thought that was a relief of not being able to just keep eating the right stuff, keeping the weight down. Well, like as a fighter, isn't it? You don't have to worry about it. But like what I'm saying is, like, I lived the right life.
You're
restricting
your life.
I never drank. I wasn't a big drinker. If I used to go out with the guys at night times, and I'd be the one. I'd be on like Red Bulls and stuff like that, and then end up like feel like I'm out of my face because I've had too much like energy drinks.
Sugar
and I think, oh Christ! I remember going to Iron Apper once. I fought in the bull ring at Iron Apper. We fought this German guy, and I actually fought him in one of my world title defences. Oh, okay. And we ended up fighting a boxing match against each other, because we weren't allowed to do kickboxing. So I fought in a bull ring, and I felt I was in the Norwich Sports Village, because all the fans there wanted England to win. Come on! And I fought him, and we got a draw somehow. I thought I'd won, but again. And that's when I met Nigel Benn there, because Nigel Benn was doing DJing in Iron Apper.
That's cool.
He was doing DJing. And I met him there, and I was speaking to him. I said, "Why don't you come to the fight?" And he went, he said, I would do. He go, but I'm DJing tonight. He said, "But best of luck to you," and all that. And then because I'd spent about 2 hours with him talking to him about my fighting and all that, and he was really proud because he'd done kickboxing. He was a kick, and I fought someone who he fought.
You want to kick by him, I don't think.
And because he was in the army and he went in the boxing, but he'd done a bit of kickboxing, and so basically, I got to know him sort of in them 2 hours. I had a good chat with him, and then he came over to Norwich at the Holiday Inn. I forget when I was now, and I remember like he did recognise me, and I just said, but he didn't speak to me because he had to go back to Australia because he was living in Australia. And then like just the last time when he was doing the tour with Chris Eubank up the Ocean Rooms.
Did you go to that?
I went to that
with my dad as well.
Yeah, I went to that. I remember queuing up, and the security said to me, "Right, you cannot speak, you cannannot do this, in and out and out." I thought, all right, fair enough. And you stood at the back of them, so obviously they were both sitting down, weren't they? So they did. So I wanted to say something to him and just see if he remembered me. And then because I thought, and as I walked away, he sort of looked like that. I don't know what he did, and he looked and he went, "Hey, right, Briggsy," and I thought that made my night. And the guy said, "How the hell do we know you?" And I felt like saying that. Security guy, I went, "You can't talk to him, but he can talk to me."
I remember because I went to that as well, and when I went in there, obviously I'm very tall, they had to adjust the camera, and he said something to the cameraman, and Nigel Benn turned around, and he stood up and he went, "Do you want some?" And I went, "No,
not from you."
Chris Eubanks didn't say a thing, did he? I mean, he just sit there.
Like, after every picture, he kept going like this.
Yeah.
And he was like a robot. He was like a robot, Eubank. He just...
Yeah.
Next picture, smile. He didn't say anything.
Yeah, that's right.
He's an interesting
but yeah, like,
character, that,
so we're going back to when I won the world title. Then we decided, right, let's get the first defence. Who are we going to go against? So we looked at. I thought there's a guy called Glenn Barragrave from Australia, and I thought, come on, let's get someone who from Australia. It was going to cost an arm and a leg, and I didn't know nothing about this guy. And then I rung up a guy called Billy Murray. Who, if anyone, he's from Ireland.
He's
anyone,
an actor, isn't he? Bill Murray, he's in Ghostbusters.
Yeah, not that one. But anyone who know about kickboxing would know who Billy Murray is. He was a world champion kickboxer himself, similar weight to me, a little bit heavier. I called him up. I thought, "Do you know anything about this guy, Glenn Barragrave?" So actually, I do. He said, "You picked a real tough defence for your mandatory defence." He said, "Oh, that's all I'll say to you. He is quite good." And I thought, all right, fair enough. I'm testing myself here. And like this. So with the building up to the fight, we offered him to come over for a week to get himself acclimatised. He wanted to come over on the Thursday of the fight, on the Saturday. Fair enough, down to you. So he came over on the Thursday, and he'd actually fight. He fought as a pro in kickboxing, Thai boxing, and boxing, and he fought all over the world, Japan, everywhere. And then at the press conference, he said the WKO again, which I thought they should have been on my side here. He didn't want to wear foot pads or shin pads. I went, "No, that's not on, because you are got conditioned shins. You are fighting kicks above the waist here, so you got to fight in my rules." So in the end, they sort of come to an agreement that he's got to wear foot pads, but no shin pads. I thought, well, wait a minute. Well, shin pads, he's going to kick me around the shins, and I have been kicked by that guy I told you about, and the Dutch guy had conditioned shins. I've never been kicked so hard in my life. You know what I mean? Because he conditions, that's like bone on bone. Because you got that skin when we bang our shins, we all think, God. But it's that little bit of skin in between the nerve. They wear it down with like rolling pins and kick bags, make the shins bleed. Yeah. That's what they do. And that's when they get kicked by them, you just feel like you've been kicked by a tree trunk. But anyway, so he come into the ring that night, and he had no shin pads or kick pads, foot pads on. So I was coming into the ring at the time, and I was the only one who noticed that. And I said, "He's got no pads on." And because obviously I'm focused on doing what I'm doing, and I knew, I thought, I'm not having that. So they made him put these foot pads on, but he still didn't have shin pads. Right. So all he was doing all the way through the fight was shinning me, kicking me a bit waist, not waist, all around the waist. And basically he elbowed me a couple of times. He went to do that and threw obviously, whether he done it on purpose. Richard Vince was the referee, because basically the referee at the time was held up in traffic. So obviously he's a qualified referee, so he took the referee. And this is the guy who started me in the kickboxing. Right, And so obviously I thought, I'm going to say to the bloody him that, because obviously he's going to think there's going to be a bit biased there. But there wasn't, because all he did was say to both of us, he said, any fouls or any of this, he said, I'm going to give you one warning. If you don't after that warning, you'll be taking points off.
Yeah.
And he said it to both of us.
Yeah.
He said it to me in the restaurant, and he said it to him. We basically done the first elbow, and because that was a blatant elbow, and he cut my eye, so he took a point off him. And because obviously, look, you didn't give me a warning, but you don't need a warning for that because basically you've done it blatantly. And then he did it again in about 2 rounds later. And because he had another point taken off. So I had 2 points taken off, and the fight was close. So, I mean, if you watch that fight, that's on YouTube, and I've watched it myself, and I'm trying to be partial. That's not me.
Yeah.
And at the time of the fight, because that's when I got Graham Everett. He was doing all my training. He was training me, and then basically he said, "You won that," and I was just thinking, I don't know if I have, and because you feel as a fighter that's that close, and but then thinking I'm the champion, you got to take it off me.
Yeah.
And basically they announced it as a draw. And then I remember Graham lifting me up with a picture in the paper of me, like him lifting me up like that, and he loved doing all that in my corners because he got away with murder with like banging on the ring post. He couldn't do that in the pros because he wasn't allowed to do anything like that. But he enjoyed the time he was with me. I know he did. If you speak to him about it, he would know that. But so basically, me being me, I felt I'd lost the fight. So I got on the mic and just said, look, because he was saying, he got on the mic and said, I'm all the way from Australia. You give me a bit of respect. And they all were saying, the crowd were all going, tie your kangaroo down, boy, you know. And then, because I got on the mic and said, look, show the guy a bit of respect. He come over here 2 days notice. I said, in my opinion, I thought he won. And he went, and because my trainer said to me, you shouldn't have said that. Yeah. And because I just wanted to show a bit of respect. Yeah. Anyway, I got back into, we used to have after fight parties. He said, can I have a word? I went, yeah. He had a word with me. He said, he said I won that fight. I went, yeah, I've thought about it. I'll change my mind. And he went, do you want to finish it off now? And then I went, all right, come to go in the car park. And because they got in between us, we were like, I thought there's no way we're going to do that. Yeah. But he was a twat, to be honest. He had no respect. I'm friends with him on Facebook. I've never spoken to him, but I know him.
But he's there.
And I'll feel like sending him in the video and say, now you see if you won that fight. Because when I look back on it, even though I felt like I'd lost it, when I watched the fight, that was that close. It was some of the rounds could have gone either way, and I thought I didn't lose that. A draw was probably the fair result because he had 2 points taken off. Yeah. Yes, if he had 2 points, he probably would have beaten me. Stick by the rules. But he obviously didn't.
They're there for a reason.
Exactly. So So when I spoke to Billy Murray afterwards, I said, "Yeah, you were right. He was tough." But when we had the interviews, he was 28 years old. I was like 35, and they kept going on about my age again. And I went, well, I haven't been around long enough to, I feel good. And I said to him, when he get in that ring, he'll find out what I'm all about, and the crowd as well. So yeah, we both wanted it bad, that big time. But then I thought I've got to pick an easier defence next time. But the mandatory defence wasn't against that the German guy, the one I fought in Cyprus. And I stopped him in the 6th round. But he was game, he was good. And then I fought a Greek guy, stopped him in 3. And I felt really sort of down about that fight because I thought he didn't seem, even though he said he was going to do what he's going to do, as soon as I got in there with him and started giving it to him, he didn't. I remember Herbie being there watching that fight, and I just wanted to put on a performance. Yeah. But he retired on his stool after 3 rounds. So and I just felt a bit flat because I wanted, even though that's a win, I wanted it to be a tough fight. I mean, I trained hard for this, and there's 1,000 people at the sports village watching, and you want to give them value for money. I know they're watching all the other people, but you're looking basically at the main fight as well because it's a world title fight. So basically, after I finished, and because kickboxing became quite big around this area because of me, but as soon as I stopped, that then started because they weren't getting the coverage, and I was trying to put shows on and they weren't getting the interest from the press or anything because they didn't have no big fight there. So obviously I was trying to match the guys up, and I was putting the shows on, but that was not making the money which it did when I was fighting because the interest wasn't there. But you just had to really do it on the guys who were fighting and sell tickets, good ticket sellers. But I had a few of them, but I put Thai boxing on as well. So we had to have 2 sets of judges for the Thai boxing because we had some good lads doing the Thai boxing them days, like Jason Legg, Howard Stanbird, Matt Cleary, Gary Bishop. There was 4 of them, and so I didn't used to train Thai boxing, but basically people liked it. So we had it on the show as a mix. So that worked.
Separate gyms in Norwich for each?
Well,
sport?
we all trained together at the time.
Right.
And but yeah, there's to be honest. Yeah, but to be honest, now it ain't like what it used to be. Like now, I don't hear of anything that's going on like that now.
There's no unique. I don't think there's any unique gyms that I know of.
No,
it's more
not here. Anyway.
Kickboxing is still big, but it's more in like Manchester, Liverpool area. There's some good fighters around that way.
Right. Between
our bit of area, since I've stopped, I'm not saying that's the reason why, but there was more interest in it then, and I don't really get involved with it now. I mean, even when I've got my gym, people always say, "Do you train kickboxing?" Well, I do, but I'm more mainly boxing, and that's what I'd be doing the white collar stuff in the gym and that. But I still would change to kickboxing if someone want to do it. So I do miss it, and obviously I wouldn't be able to throw the kicks like I used to anymore because I got a bad leg now, but I recovered because I had that bike accident. So but I do miss it, and I do miss when I take the guys in the shows, even the white collars. I just miss the smell of the dressing room, being in there ready. The nerves and your knots in your stomach when people say, "I'm not nervous." Oh, come on, everyone get nervous. Probably the only person I don't get nervous is probably Prince Nazim. He probably must have been weird in his way. I don't think he was. He used to come in the ring and he was just something else, wasn't he? But
he was.
But anyone who says they don't get nervous are lying, because we all get nervous, and that's the way we deal with it. Because that's sport, isn't it? You get nervous whatever you do in whatever sport you do.
Yeah. Why did you start Briggsy's Fight Club then? Was that to give something back? So it sounds like you were very fulfilled by your career. Was it like an opportunity for you to? Well,
I moved into a bungalow where there was a garage in there, and the guy used to do like cleaning and stuff. And I thought, you know what, I can set a gym up in here. I set it up, and I put a few bags in there, started to do one-to-ones, started all that, and then basically I thought, right, I'll make it bigger. So I got an extension put at the back of the garden, got a ring in there, started to get bits and pieces in there, and that's 2011. And I thought, right, we're going to call it Briggsy's Fight Club, and then basically that's still going now.
You enjoy
I enjoy doing that.
Training people. Do you enjoy that as much as you did when you were fighting?
No. I'll never replace that. But I just think I had some brilliant times, and I've got a lot of stories. That's why I've been approached to sort of maybe do a book about it, and I just think that would be. That'd be nice to talk about that. I enjoyed talking about my career and things like that. When people meet you on holiday, I never say what I've done. My wife will always say, "Do you know what you used to do?" And because I say, "Why do you say that?" I thought, well, I'm going to say, "Do you know who I am?" Because I'm not like that. And they, "Why don't you just say?" I mean, well, if they want to talk to me about it, I'm more than happy to talk about it. But then sometimes you get people who say, "Oh yeah." And then I've been at places where I've worked, and you know someone, and they look at you a different way, and as soon as they realise what you've done, they then start treating you a bit different. Yeah. And I don't like that.
You don't want that. Yeah.
I just think I'm just me. Yeah. Don't treat me any different because I've done this. I'm a normal person like everyone else. But it's just that's how I see some people. They look at you a different way or treat you a different way when they find out what you have done, or they might talk to you like shit when you hadn't. You know what I mean? And then there's plenty of people like that. But I don't need to go around shouting about it. Well, my missus will do that.
Speaking of sort of fame or being well known, did you meet anyone particularly famous? Maybe the Tate brothers, who I don't know if that's just very good marketing from them to say that they were great kickboxers. Did you meet anyone of that sort of ilk? Jean-Claude Van Damme, I met him.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
He was doing an international show. I forget where it was now. It was a guy from Belgium, because he was from Belgium, and he was in each corner.
Oh, really?
So
that's pretty cool.
And that was after the kickboxing films. Obviously, I was sort of I didn't really talk to him. I just sort of said, "Nice to meet you" and all that, and didn't get a chance, but I had met him briefly. Yeah. And then because Dennis Alexio, he's played his brother in that. He was a proper kickboxer. He was a world heavyweight champion.
Was he?
Even though he didn't look like a heavyweight because he was quite small.
Right.
But in that film, he got crippled, didn't he? And he took on in the kickboxing, and that's where Jean-Claude Van Damme was.
He was very action, kung fu, kicking and sort of films and stuff.
Exactly, and then you had a lot of people like that. I knew about with the kickboxing world, and then because Dennis Alexio ended up fighting Stan Long and Eatis from Australia. Them two were the best kickboxers around, and that was like, that fight's never going to happen. That went on for years, and then basically that fight did happen. It lasted about 30 seconds because Dennis Alexio broke his tibia and fibia.
Oh,
he went to throw a kick at him, and that just snapped.
His whole leg.
The whole leg, and it went like, I've seen that at ringside. I've seen that doing at ringside. And when you've seen it in videos where people smack it, and then there's you see it in slow motion, and the leg is going like that, and they're going to put the weight down, and it's gone the other way.
It's like delayed reaction. They kick it, their legs snap in half, and it's like they don't even know.
No.
So they sit it and that just keep.
And then that's sickening to see it, and I've seen that live.
Yeah, that's pretty nasty.
And that's nasty.
Yeah, that's not good.
You can get some serious injuries in that, and that's just how it is. But that's why when I first started doing kickboxing, I did low kicks, because you think, well, that's easy. I don't have to lift my leg up very high. But having a few fights at low kicks that didn't go down after. Go and try to work for a week after that. You don't feel it at the time, like I said, with pain, with adrenaline. But that's all the aches and pains. Just think, no, I'm going to do kicks above the waist. It's a bit better.
It's softer, yeah.
Even though, well, you might get kicked in the head. Well, come on.
Yeah.
If you're going to get kicked in the head, then there's something wrong with you, because you can have your hands down, you got to have your hands up. It could be a thing where someone will spin and kick. That will happen.
Yeah.
But
you got a pretty quick kick to get someone in the head.
Exactly, and that's why boxing is more dangerous than kickboxing, because you're on each other all the time throwing punches. Where obviously kickboxing is a bit more finesse involved, because you're using your legs, you're thinking about other stuff. But that is, you've got to be super fit to do that as well, because you're thinking about your legs. But I would still say boxing is probably the toughest, because you're not taking a break from it. You're straight in each other's faces all the time. Yeah. With kickboxing, you stand off a bit more to use your legs, and that's just you learning how to do the combinations.
And the styles are a bit different, aren't they? Kickboxers sort of stand more, your hands a bit lower, don't they? Where boxers are sort of higher.
Yeah. Well, basically, when I used to go down, because I used to travel to get the fight, and then that's when I knew Graham anyway, and then I started to go to Graham's pro gym. And then I started to train with all the pro boxers, and Earl Ling, all them lot of guys. Wow. And basically trained with them, and I got their respect, because they actually come watch me fight in the end, because obviously Graham was doing my corner, and I had some good sparring with him, and Herbie as well. I got to know Herbie quite well.
Like them big blokes as well.
Yeah.
Sparring them, you're not too bad.
And basically I got my boxing started becoming really good. And then, I remember Graham said to me at the time, when I was about 35 years old, if we'd have been if we'd have got you earlier,
right, when you were younger,
you'd have done well at this. But it was going to take me serious turning pro at 35.
It's hard, isn't it? Boxing's a hard game.
I just won a world title. I thought, there's no way I'm going to turn pro at 35 years old, because it's a hard game, like you say, and it's levels in everything. I mean, obviously that's why. John Faxon done well. I mean, because me and him used to train together all the time. He was fit as well. We'd always be challenging each other, more him than me. But I remember as a 17-year-old, he used to come out and he said, we'll have a sparring session. I went, yeah, all right. He said, but take it a bit easier. And I went, yeah, that's fine. And he'd come and try to take your head off. I thought we'd actually going to be taking it easier. And then we'd go around the block to do a run for the warm-up, and he had to be first. I mean, that's like anything. And I was just good because he used to do a lot of stuff at the Oasis, and I used to go up there and we used to spar in the squash courts. There's no ring up there. I remember him punching me once, and he caught me a week before my fight, and he split my eye open. And I remember at the time we had to get all his fans adrenaline cream on, and on the day of the fight, I was when I fought Nick Clarke the first time. And that did open up again, but obviously they stopped the bleeding. But that was him who done it the week before the fight.
What would you say to people, Gary, people wanting to start boxing or kickboxing? Obviously you started later on in life, but what would you say to people, younger people, older people wanting to start?
Always do it.
Would you got any regrets?
No, I mean, people obviously think, there's a lot of people that don't like boxing, say they don't want their children to get involved with, that might make them feel like they're going to be violent. That's the other way round. At the end of the day, you get children involved with that at a young age, they become respectful to everyone because they don't need to go around bullying people. No. Everyone hates bullies. We're anywhere in life is a bully. At school, there's always a bully. But if you get like young kids into boxing, then that teaches them respect. And they don't need to go around trying to prove themselves. No. Hang around with the guy who's the big I am, who isn't the big I am, because he's got all these people around who are scared of him. And then you end up like when you're growing up, you find these guys, and they're probably the weakest ones around because they've got no one around to make them feel good. But like I say, there's like in Norwich itself is the lads club, and
so many gyms, isn't there?
And there's some really good fighters around. I mean, obviously with the McAllisters, I used to train with them. They were kickboxing. Yeah. Alex, Tom, and Charlie. And I used to do their corners. Tom used to be my sparring partner at 17. He was tough cookie, and they all were. And they're all really good coaches. And their sons are all took it on. And you got champions there, and ABAs, and really good, and then you got the Brazils. There's some really good talent around there.
It's funny, like I wouldn't say me or you are violent people at all, but we're boxed for how long.
I don't think many people.
You don't have to be.
You don't have to be violent. The cameraman, he's a little bit violent, but that's why we keep him
probably more violent than all of us.
That's why we keep him off camera, because he's a dangerous man. But there's not, say at Dave's, there's not really anyone there I'd say who's like a traditional hard nut, if you know what I mean. They're all just sort of. You don't have to, but a lot of people probably go into it because they might have been bullied at school and they want to look after themselves, and that makes them feel more confident in themselves. I'm not saying it with everyone, but I'm just like going back to the children who get your kids involved with boxing. Look at the McAllisters. Like I say, you got is it Lewis? Lewis. CJ. Yeah.
CJ. What talents they are.
CJ's very good.
And I think they'll end up being
something like that. Yeah.
If they can get the backing, they'll probably do well as a pro.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's good to see it around this area because little old Norwich. We have turned some good fighters around in the past.
Good fighters, yeah.
You've got to look at Herbie. I mean, everyone's got an opinion of Herbie. I find Herbie all right. I mean, I used to run with him. And I used to do a lot of training with him, with Neil. I remember, I'll tell you a funny story about him. That was one December, I think it was December or January, where we were going for a run at to meet at Neil's shop when I was down Drayton. He's now in Tavern. Yeah, I used to meet him, go for runs, and Herbie was coming. We always have to wait for him. He's always late. And he said, look, we were saying, what car do you think you're going to turn up today? Get a Bentley or Porsche or whatever. Anyway, that was snowing. And as he turned up, Neil said, put them glasses on. I went, sunglasses on. I went, well, just put them on. So we put these sunglasses on. And he come in the door. And he went, all right, Herbie? And he went, yeah. He went, where are your glasses? And he went, what do you mean? And he went, well, come on, you got to wear sunglasses when it's snowing outside because obviously that deflect and that could blind you. And he went, he goes, is that right? And we both cracked up. He went, you.
I see a thing Riddick Bowe, I think it was, Herbie Hide fought and he lost him, but Riddick Bowe said he was the hardest puncher he fought.
That's what he said, isn't it?
And he found Holyfield and everyone.
Herbie had a lot of talent. He had a lot of talent, and he was just not big enough to be a proper heavyweight, even though, like I say, he was like probably 15.5 stone. Maybe I'm wrong.
Was like a bridge away.
Where Riddick Bowe, he was probably like 18, 19 stone. And
massive.
But he kept getting up.
Yeah.
He got put down quite a few times, but he kept getting up, and Riddick Bowe give him a lot of credit. But obviously, that's what he made that fight, and obviously I remember him fighting Klitschko. Vitali, and obviously he lost to Vitali, but Vitali was. I remember this is another thing I can say. And the Norwich Sport Village, when Richard Vince used to put the show, I remember when I was fighting under them, when obviously he was fighting as well, because he fought for a world title and European title, and he fought Vitali Klitschko. I fought on the same show as him.
Really?
Because I fought this guy from Scotland, and I remember Richard Vince fighting Vitali Klitschko, and they were saying about this big Russian guy, and no one ever heard of him. And I remember watching the fight, and I looked at him. I thought, Christ, it's like a man mountain. I mean, Richard Vince is no short guy.
No.
And I remember him looking up to him, and he beat Richard Vincent 2 rounds.
Really?
But, like I say, look what happened.
Someone like that,
For Charlie can become him and his brother, Vlad, they both dominated the heavyweight scene. So that kickboxing back around again. And there's been a lot of that. And it's like...
Moving over from kickboxing to boxing.
Yeah, and there's Dylan White, kickboxer.
Yeah.
He's done kickboxing. There's a few. And there's probably others can't really remember, but there is. All started in that game. So we all started in that little area, and then obviously, right, we turn boxing, we can make more money out of this, which you can, because it's got the TV involved. Yeah. And it's like getting the back end like you do in the other European countries. But there's been some real good fighters around the kickboxing.
Massive fights in boxing, like the money in boxing. Yeah. Now it's like,
well, now it is, especially if you're heavyweight.
Some of these fights are crazy, like the fights that are being made now.
Yeah. I still can't believe Jake Paul is fighting Anthony Joshua.
What are your thoughts on that?
If you don't put him out in a round, that's a fix. I mean, at the end of the day, if Anthony Joshua's got anything to go about his career, try to win a title again, which I don't think he will now, because I think he's past his best, but he's still got, he's an athlete, and look what he did to Nagano. I mean, at the end of the day, if he can't knock out Jake Paul, a YouTuber, I know people saying, well, yeah, but he's got all the best trainers in the world now because he's made his money. Hats off to him.
He can box, but he's an average boxer.
I'd say he's Southern area, more than a Southern area title fighter. He's not, he's had the best trainers, yes, maybe, and all these fights, the Mike Tyson one was just a joke, really, to be fair. I mean, Mike Tyson's one of my heroes.
Sad to see, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was obviously a fix. He got paid like 10 million or whatever to take him to 6 rounds and lose to him, for God's sake. And now we're hearing that Mike Tyson's going to fight bloody Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, I see that today. Yeah.
God almighty, I mean, why don't they just leave it? They've got enough money, haven't they? Especially Floyd Mayweather.
People want more, don't they? What do you reckon, cameraman? Joshua, Jake Paul. Who's winning?
Yeah, I think as the man said, it's going to be an absolute shambles if Jake.
And then Eddie Hearn, they all saying to Eddie Hearn, they're all saying to him, "Is there any stipulation?" He said, "No, there's no stipulation." He said, "What he's going to do, he's going to come in the middle of the ring, he's going to hit him as hard as he can with tennis and spark him right out." Well, I just hope that does happen, because that might.
I always just find, as much as I want to believe what Jake Paul do is true, you always have a feeling something's going on there, like something's not right.
Yeah, it don't feel right, does it?
But Jake Paul's a very good businessman.
Well, yeah, look at the money he's made. He's the one who's laughing.
But even if you do get KO'd clean,
that's going to do him good.
Paid 100 million or whatever.
And plus, he's got the balls to get in against someone like him.
If you lose, people go, bloody hell, you actually fought Anthony Joshua.
Well, I couldn't even believe he was meant to fight Tank Davis as well. I mean, Tank was a lot smaller, but he's a world-class operator. So how that was going to go, I don't know.
Crazy, isn't it? Crazy.
But yeah, I was like, yeah, like I say, with the height difference, I was like me fighting you. I need a step ladder.
Oh, I don't know. Right, I think that's it, Gary. Thank you for coming on.
No problem.
That's been very interesting.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a hybrid episode, getting sort of different views from different sports. It's quite
that's what we're about.
Molds into one, isn't it? But yeah, thank you all for watching again. If you're still there,
you and fell asleep.
If you're not asleep, like, comment, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Share. Is that everything? I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.